It's week 6, and this week we are learning, is Jesus as good as they say?
Our lesson to learn this week is Jesus is Savior of the world, but he uses imperfect people to do his work. If we were to have an arm wrestling competition, who would win? Me or you?
You.
Probably me. What about you or Dad?
Dad by a very long shot.
What about me or Dad?
It would be a tough match, but Dad would eventually win in the end.
Dad would win for sure. What would it take for me to beat Dad in arm wrestling?
A miracle. No offense.
None taken. It would take a miracle. You can tell by looking at us that I would lose because I'm not as strong as Dad, right?
No.
I think, though, that God likes to use people like me to be people like Dad in arm wrestling.
What do you mean?
I mean, take Moses, for example. He did some pretty awesome things, right?
He parted the Red Sea.
He did. Kind of. God used Moses to part the Red Sea. And that's what I'm talking about. Moses was just a guy. He didn't have power to part the Red Sea. Everyone knew that. They could see that he was up against something much stronger and much bigger than he was himself. But God was stronger and bigger than what Moses was up against.
So, you're saying God used a nobody like Moses to perform a miracle?
Yeah, God used someone like Moses to perform a miracle that everyone would know God was behind, because there's no way Moses could have done that in his own strength. We know the end of Moses' story. He ended up trusting God and became a hero to his people. But do you remember the beginning of his story?
Yeah, he didn't believe he had the strength to do it, and he listed all the reasons why he couldn't.
He didn't think he was capable. And sometimes we can be just like Moses too. We can list off all the reasons that we can't do it, we shouldn't do it, but really maybe it's just because we don't want to do it. But it doesn't matter, because we are not doing this in our own strength, just like Moses wasn't doing that with his own strength. He couldn't do it, and he didn't do it. We can't do it. All we have to do is be willing to be used by God, to step out in faith and see how God can work through us.